What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Knowledge Heist podcast. I'm here with my co-host, OD. We have a very special guest today. Before we dive in, though, I want to thank everyone who's been watching it, who's been listening to it, supporting us, giving feedback. We finally got our official logo, so go check that out. And let's get right into this one. So we have a very special guest today, artist based out of Hollister, California. Her name is Valeria, so I'm going to have her introduce herself and what she does. So welcome to the show.
Thank you. Hi, so I'm Valeria. I'm a R&B and hip-hop singer, recording artist, and I'm just trying to make a name and really put on, the music that I make.
Definitely. So yeah, let's start from from your background. How'd you start making music? When did you start?
When did I start?
When did you start and how did you start?
I want to say I started singing per se maybe when I was like 6. I remember, and then throughout pretty much until I was like 13, I was super scared and I had crazy stage fright, and I would like sing with blindfolds. And then once I started realizing, okay, cool, like I can kind of put words and stuff together, I was around 15. So I started recording at home studios when I was like a sophomore in high school. And then strictly covers until a few friends of mine that were all pretty much based out from here kind of just kept pushing like, hey, you should really think about writing your own stuff. And so when I was pretty much junior throughout high school to today, I've been writing my own music ever since.
So you write your own music as well?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So did you ever feel, I know you said you were nervous at first.
Yeah.
Did you ever feel that might have stopped you from getting this far into your career?
Oh, totally.
Yeah.
Yeah. Sometimes it still does. I feel like that.
Talk about that. How do you overcome that?
I mean, I think the more that I push my work ethic and I continue to stay active, and whether it's recording or performing, it kind of just gives you that adrenaline rush again, and it's almost like you want more.
Definitely.
So, and then you get a reaction, and that's when it's positive. It's you want some more.
Yeah, definitely. What do you use as a skill though? Because I feel like anybody listening to this trying to get into the music industry, and tells themselves I'm shy, but they've done covers and like, wow, you're amazing. What do you use as a skill to overcome that? Because right now you spoke about when you do your music, it's like an adrenaline rush.
Yeah.
You want more of it. However, you still get shy. Like, how do you balance that out where you don't say like, you know what? Why am I putting myself through so much, like getting over the shyness barrier? Yeah. Even though I'm getting such an adrenaline rush, like what's your skill? How did you find your groove?
I mean, I think that kind of goes hand in hand with accepting that not everything that you're gonna hear back is gonna be positive. You have to kind of take everybody that's gonna be critiquing you with a grain of salt and be like, okay, that's what I'm gonna work on. And so that kind of was my tactic. I at first actually, I can't say never, I did get a few times defensive when people were like, oh, I didn't, I thought you could do better on this and stuff, and that gets me going. And really just believing in yourself, learning how to love yourself no matter what everybody else is going to think of it. If you feel like it's going to go somewhere, then that's all that matters.
So the feedback you got, suppose those people that told you I thought you could have done better on this track, is that coming from people that you acquaint with? Are they friends, family, or are they some people just giving their feedback to you?
It comes from
every angle,
yeah. Of course there's others' opinions that I value more than others,
of course.
But regardless, I think that I try to find a happy medium with my family, because it's I'm an R&B. I consider myself R&B hip hop artist.
Yeah.
And coming from a Hispanic family, like, they want to hear me sing mariachi. They want to hear me, like, you know, sing some Jenny, and I love it. That's my culture, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But lately, like, I'm kind of wanting to take more of their opinion and be like, okay, maybe I'll cross the two, like, because I know that that's a big thing right now is reggaeton and hip hop kind of coming together, and I think that that's where I'm heading right now.
And you're lucky too that you have those both cultures, so you could easily mix them together.
Yeah.
Now, how do you balance between feedback that might be, you know, negative feedback and constructive criticism? Because you did mention you did get defensive at times. How do you kind of balance it out? Like, maybe they're just trying to tell me ways that I could be better. Because we've talked about this before, how, you know, you might not see your potential unless someone else tells you. So what if that feedback is someone else seeing your potential? Like, how do you balance that out now?
I mean, when I say, like, negative feedback, I mean, there had been a few examples where it wasn't, like, necessarily constructive. It was just negative.
Oh, I see.
You know?
Like, the energy attached to it was completely negative.
Like almost hating.
Yeah. I mean, you can't really put it any other way, but as far as, you know, what was not to me, it was like I wanted something to sound a certain way, and when somebody's, like, trying to tell me you should do this another way, I would just be like, no, like, this is what I want it to sound like. But aside from that, I'm like, okay, like, let's just try it. Just being more open-minded and trying things.
Definitely.
And now, like, it kind of works, you know, when I have a lot of creative people in the room and gets it going.
Definitely. Is there anything you want to ask or add on to?
Do you think, like, some of those advices that they give you, or twist it here, do this, has it molded you into another you? Or you try to take a little bit of their advice but put it into your own style?
That's more of how I think of it, is I take their advice and make it me. So, but like I said, I think that really helped me kind of grow into being more diverse with the music that I make, because I was so, like, I'm going to be an R&B artist, like, because I'm such an R&B head, and I live in 90s, 2000s, and I want to bring that back so bad, but it's like, people sometimes just sound better in Spanish, or, you know, like, singing some other type of genre. I'm kind of just venturing out right now and trying different things, so I think that reggaeton will open a little bit more doors.
Definitely.
And it'll be something new, but...
so are you already planning on doing something like that?
I'm working on something right now.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. But really right now it's just prepping for shows, and getting my dancers ready and making sure the sounds, you know, are
everything is in line.
Yeah.
Cool.
That's keeping me busy.
So you mentioned something. I want to talk about your creative process and how you make music, because I know a lot of artists have different ways of making their music. You talked about being creative around other creative people. So what's your process? Like, how is it? Like, do you get into the studio? Do you have a beat ready for you? You start writing, or you write something, it's like, I want a beat like this, then lay down the vocals. What's your process?
So typically I would receive beats, or, you know, purchase them. Omar actually has always been, like, one to shoot me ones here and there, like, hey, you sound good on this one, and to the point where, like, we would argue, like, hey, I want this one. But no, my producer, Evan, he pretty much makes all my beats.
Nice.
And then so I go from there. Sometimes he helps me with hooks, but most part of it is just me kind of coming back to it week by week, because I am not really the type, unless I'm feeling some type of way, I can't knock out writing a song in like 30 minutes or a day. It'll take me about 2 weeks. And that's something I'm trying to work on, because the more I do it, like, practice makes perfect, and you just get better at it. But, and then from there, I want to go in, obviously, in the studio with something ready, so I try to just jump right into it. Thankfully, I've had great engineers that, like, have been so patient with me, and they, like I said, they kind of learned my style throughout the years. That's why it's hard for me to, I think, go further because I'm so comfortable with my foundation.
I see. Do you feel like that's holding you back then?
Sometimes, but lately I've stepped out of my comfort zone, and I'm being more open to working with different people because everybody's like so far away from me now, and
yeah, definitely. So I that's interesting you say that, because I feel in any business or any career trade, once you hit that spot, it's almost okay. You don't want to ever plateau because you always want to be better, right?
Yeah.
So that being said, since you have just admitted to the fact that you are comfortable, what are your goals for you to venture out and really get your music out there without feeling that, like feeling okay, you know what, I am comfortable with my team, but I also I want to take my team and my voice to a whole different level.
Yeah.
Like how are you planning to do that?
I think just like that's a hard one because I think that really it's just about protecting my space, because you hear so many stories about like when you get to the top it gets so lonely, or like people go through crazy journeys to be on the top and then not know who really is with you or whatever. But for me, it's always just like keeping in contact with these people, checking up, like still being a part of their lives, because that's gonna reciprocate back. And not to say like, oh, I'm gonna do this because I'm gonna get the same thing back, but it's just like that saying like, que Dios te da más pa que me dé más. Like I know it's kind of saying the same thing, but just like I said, just being true to your team.
Definitely.
True to your team.
No, yeah, I like that. I think you would agree with that. I just also, I totally believe in that. I just also feel like sometimes, I don't know, I want to get your thought on this. Let's suppose right now you said you get to the top and then it kind of gets lonely. What's your perspective on the sense where, what if that's a way to filter out to see who's really with you?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Because I know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
It gets lonely sometimes. Doing whatever you do, you start seeing who you're pruning. It's like when you prune a tree.
Right.
You want to cut off the dead, all the dead leaves. You think that's a way to filter out to see who's really rocking with you?
I definitely think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No. I definitely respect the fact that you're trying to keep everything creative inside.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah.
I just wanted to ask you your perspective on that, because I feel like a lot of people could hold themselves back because of that. But it's also not bad, because you could also progress as a team.
Exactly. Exactly.
So, yeah. Before we go on the break, I also want to talk about any setback in the music part. Like, was there any point where you get writer's block?
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
It's a common thing for me, and like any engineer that's ever worked with me will tell you, like, yeah, dude, she'll come back to it 1,000 times or like change things here and there. But I have come across setbacks with just working with outside labels. Big or small, it's something that I'm not a part of. I consider myself independent, and so there have been some creative differences that have set me back. But everything happens for a reason, and when one door closes, another one opens, and that's exactly what happened.
Definitely.
So.
Yeah, definitely. True. You want to add something to that one?
No.
When you're working with other people, is it difficult to kind of put your style incorporate? Because I know sometimes when you put two people together, one has an idea, the other one has an idea. It's like, okay, there might be some tension. Like, have you ever had that experience?
Yeah.
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 How do you deal with stuff like that emotionally, and like, on the side where, okay, let's actually make some music. So how do you split that? Like, okay, how do you be open-minded to his ideas or their ideas and move forward with a collaboration you might have?
Yeah. I mean, for me, I try to keep it like as less awkward as possible. So I get like this like nervous laugh kind of thing going, but at the same time I'll just let the other artists know, hey, you know what, like, let's come back to it, because right now, like, we've got two different ideas going, and you know, I'll kind of let them do what they gotta do, and I'll step out of the room and then have them shoot it to me later, and then I can feel it, I can see if I'm rocking with it. But like I said, like, not everything has been a positive outcome. There's been moments where people have just been like, hey, it's my way or it's no way, sorry, like, thank you for your time. And that was like a perfect first prime example of like what I'm obviously going to be dealing with. I think that there's going to be a lot more no's in their yeses.
Of course. I want to ask you about your music. Like, I want to ask this question. I don't know if you've ever heard this way. Are you stubborn with your music? Like, in the sense where you record, it's not sounding the way you are, like the way you want it to be, and it's like, this rerun it, just keep going. Has there ever been a time where, like, are you stubborn with your creative process in the sense where, like, I'm gonna get this song right? Yeah. Have you ever dropped a song where it's like, you know, it's not gonna work out?
I have. Yeah. I think there was one that I took off all my platforms that I had released at one point, and I thought, like, I could do that so much better. But it's like, I don't want to keep going back to the same things at this point in time. Like, I feel like right now, I mentioned earlier that I was going to be getting ready to release my latest project, but they're kind of just been like singles that I've put out. So it's more so for me to have like hard copies of, and like have that first interaction with people, like, hey, like, yeah, check me out, you know? But I'm pretty stubborn. I used to be.
Yeah. I'm not, I didn't want to ask the question in a bad way. I'm saying, like, it's a good way in the sense where you want to get something, your product, because your product is your music. Yeah. So it's like, you know, I'm stubborn with this show because I want things to go a certain way. Although I'm not aiming for perfection. Right. You know, I feel like the music industry is, I'm not saying you want to aim for perfection, but you want to sound a way. You're the only person that knows how you want to sound. Yeah. You know, something might sound good to me, but you're like, oh, you really think so? Like, I thought I could do better. Yeah. In the sense where, like, I'm not going to stop till I get this song right. Right. You know what I mean? So that's what I meant to say. That's why I said, like, you probably never heard it this way, but in a good way, stubborn in a good way, in the sense where, like, you're being persistent. Right. In trying to get your craft out there. So. Yeah. So you talked about, like, deleting a song, but have you ever been in the middle of a song and said, you know what, maybe I'm not feeling this, or, like, drop it, come back to it later?
Yeah, I actually, I have, like, a folder that I have all of my, like, songs that I've done that I'll probably never put out. Oh. And it's only because I feel like I'm so caught up in the new things, like the new style. But I don't know, like. Yeah.
So you have, like, I feel like you have, like, an inner battle because you want to adapt to today's society in a way, but then you want to stay true to yourself. Yeah. Your type of music that you want to bring out. Yeah. So that's, like, something that you kind of have trouble with, I guess you could say, or.
I think that there needs to be a point that I hit where I need to be more like, I just need to stop worrying about pleasing other people. And I'm getting there for sure. And I thank you for pointing that out, because it's really, for me right now, finding that connection with my family and everybody else that's rocking with me. Because my family loves me, I know. You know what I mean? They're my number one supporters, my number one critiquers, but I want them to gig with me too. So if I could mix the two, I'm a happy girl.
Definitely.
I think everybody goes through that, and I caught it right now.
Mm-hmm.
You admitted it, so what I would suggest you do is just like you said, really try to like just do you,
Yeah.
and really cut people off if you need to. It sucks because then you start getting to that stage where it feels a little bit lonely. And I
Yeah.
can tell you this from my perspective as a barbershop owner.
Mm-hmm.
Like I used to cut up my friends at my house, but a lot of my friends don't even talk to me anymore.
Right.
They're like, oh, because you don't have time to cut my hair, and they mix friendship with business, and they don't mix.
They don't
And it's
mix.
like you're trying to keep everybody happy, but the only person who has to be happy is you.
Yeah.
Because then you attract other people.
Yeah.
By how you carry yourself.
Definitely. Yeah, I think that's very important.
Yeah.
As long as your intent is right.
Yeah.
So yeah, so we're gonna be going on a short break. So far, a lot has been said about her musical process, the way she collaborates, her team, her little background, how she started off. So on the next part, I want to talk more about your upbringing, family, and any setback, like real setback that you might have could have stayed in. So we'll be right back. So stay tuned. What's up, guys? Welcome back. After a short little break, we're back with Valeria. First part, we had a good conversation, spoke about her musical background, how she does her stuff, how she collaborates. So I want to dig, in this segment, I want to dig deep on like the family side,
Yeah.
and like any real setback that might have just put you, on hold, everything on hold. So let's start with the family thing. You have any siblings?
I do. So I have my 13-year-old sister, her name is Victoria. And then Edwy lives in Washington. He's 30. And so I'm the oldest in the house.
Yeah,
I'm the oldest in the house.
Definitely. So I want to talk about that. How can you take some skills you've developed at home, being like the oldest sister at home, and how have you applied it in like the real world, in the sense like whether it's a leadership skill or where you could be a nurturing person to someone else?
Yeah. I think that's pretty, for me, I don't know, I've always been very like cariñosa and like loving to everybody that I've come across, that at least has, had that energy back. But for as far as leadership, I just always want to make sure that I'm the best version of myself for the people that matter. So of course my sister, my family. When you say like how I project it to everybody else, it's hard because I don't really want to consider myself to be like a role model for like every other like 13-year-old girl, to say the least.
Yeah.
I am my own age, and sometimes that can kind of put a pause in creative growth. If you've got restrictions. And so, not to say like, oh, I don't want to be goody two shoes, because
Definitely.
Yeah. But there's parental advisories for
Of course. Yeah,
a
definitely.
lot of things.
So, how about like growing up? What kind of skills, if you look back, were instilled by your parents that you might still use today?
I think that everything, honestly, that I've ever learned from them is what I apply to my daily life. I would say, like I mentioned before, you never know whose hand you're gonna shake, like you said. Just being nice to people, and even if they're crabby to you, you don't know what kind of day they had or what they're going through. Like, you just might have caught them on a bad day, but you never want to reciprocate that back, because
Definitely.
You never know if they know somebody or.
Definitely.
Yeah.
So, have you ever felt in the sense where your parents might have held you back in a way? I mean that in the sense where sometimes we're talking about pleasing others, right? In our first part, I'm not saying that you're not trying to please your parents, but has there been times where there might have been like some disagreement because of what you want to do, not what they want you to do? Does that
Right.
make sense?
Yeah.
Has that happened before?
Oh yeah. I mean, and I think that that's really common in every household. You know, you're growing up to mold your life, not theirs. At the end of the day, but I have the utmost respect for my parents. They've done so much for me that, yeah, I want to make sure that they're proud and happy with where I'm at. And I just think now that I'm getting older, as long as they know that I'm happy, like they're happy.
Yeah.
But there have been times where they've set me back.
Yeah.
Just because of the simple fact that I didn't want to disappoint them, or I have, you know, and just sometimes they don't agree with the music that I make, and that's fine. I've accepted that that's gonna be common.
Yeah.
But never anything to, I guess, like shame our name.
Yeah.
You know?
Definitely. I mean, you still want to make them proud.
Oh yeah.
And then
Yeah.
they're still your parents.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about, has there been anything in your life like a huge setback that could have put a lot of things on hold for you? Like something that you carry with you, but you use it also as motivation?
Yeah. I definitely think that when my grandfather passed away, that was kind of when I put the music down for a few years. I could say I just picked it back up this year.
Oh wow.
Like full throttle to say.
Yeah.
And so, but he would always tell me, like, you're gonna be on the TV one day. Like, you're going to just keep going, you know? And that was, I think, he was one of the only people that actually pushed that. And my family always says too, like, hey, hurry up and get signed so you can help us with the bills. And it's, but at the same time, they kind of want more of a realistic.
Yeah, okay.
Definitely. Not realistic, but that's, I guess, more practical. Like, they want me to go to school and, make sure that I'm secure. And I totally push that on my sister. I think education is really important, but he kind of really kept my dream alive more than anybody.
Definitely. He's the one that, kept telling you you're going to be on TV.
Yeah. And he would always, yeah.
Is there something you want to add?
No, I feel her on that one. Like, parents usually want you to get a secure job. I say secure because nothing's secure in life, Anything that you do can fail, and then there's no security in anything. You can have a plan B, but nothing's secure. So some people want you to get a 9-to-5 job and start making money, but they don't understand that sometimes you have to give time and money into something that's going to pay off in the long run. And
the investment part.
Investing in yourself.
Yeah, I want to backtrack first. Sorry for your loss for your grandfather, and then also, how do you use that now to leverage your music and your craft?
Yeah.
Because I'm pretty sure he's very proud of you at your current state, and if he were still here, he'd want you to keep doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
Like you said, he was your biggest supporter in that side.
Yeah.
So how do you use that as a leverage point, like for motivation and like your music?
Yeah. I think that he would have never wanted me to stop. So that was, point blank for me, and it was just full on leverage. Like, okay, I gotta do this for me because this is what he said I was gonna do. And so, now I think that that's kind of where I also am getting more in touch with my own roots and digging deeper into bringing in my culture with the type of music that I make and seeing where that goes.
Mm-hmm.
And so far, that's all I can talk about because I'm so excited about it.
Definitely.
And
yeah.
But yeah, I think that right now with the things that I'm working on, he'd be really excited about too.
Definitely.
So
yeah, definitely. That's huge. I think it's important, and I'm glad that you're striving for better and digging deep within yourself. So, on that note, I kind of want to transition on more of like the emotional part. Do you deal with any type of anxiety when you do music, or just in your regular day life?
No, I don't think that I definitely get anxious before performing,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's pretty natural. But if anything, the music has been therapy to me.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's just like anybody who goes to the gym or, you know.
Yeah. Of course, you're always trying to work out your skill.
Yeah.
You know, you're trying to get better.
Yeah.
Definitely.
That's my safe zone.
So, I haven't asked you this, but who's your biggest inspiration? Like, where do you find yourself? I know you said that like R&B, 2000s vibe,
Mm-hmm.
but is there someone you try to, look up to? Like, oh wow, like this is a sound I want to generate, but put my own touch on it.
Like.
It could be anyone. It doesn't have to specifically be an artist. You know, it could be who's your biggest inspiration. Like, who's your backbone? I know your family is, but there's someone specific.
I think alongside from my family, as far as like creative inspiration, I mean, I grew up on Destiny's Child
Mm-hmm.
and Lauryn Hill
Mm-hmm.
and Beyonce. I know it's a little, overrated. They say, but that's Beyonce.
Yeah.
I mean, my mom,
Mm-hmm.
And wow, there's so many people. Gosh, I feel like I'm really blessed to. I love my life and I love the people that have been placed in my life. So it's like thankfully, so I always have somewhere to run to and.
Of course, definitely.
Yeah.
So through all what you've said so far, throughout certain setbacks, your inspiration, what keeps you focused? What keeps you like from not quitting?
The fact that I don't, like I said, I love my life and my family, but I always want better for them because they've given me so much. So I definitely want to give back and not have them worry anymore. Maybe kind of bring people a little bit closer, because I know that in setbacks, in life, family, people kind of go their own ways when there's feuds and such.
Of course.
So it breaks me because that's all I've ever known, and that's what makes me who I am.
Mm-hmm.
And so if there would be any kind of way that I could help mold everybody back together, and I think that would probably be the one thing that's keeping me going.
Definitely.
Just wanting a better life for my family.
Of course. Is there something you want to add? There's a specific question I want to ask you. So I know you said you like to be in your collaboration, your collective with your partners, and but is there ever a time where you spend time alone, or do you like spending time alone and like have conversations with yourself?
I do. I think that that's probably like my commute to work.
Okay.
Those would be the times, and it's so crazy. I was just talking to another artist about this not long ago about. Because he asked me, what do you listen to, like, when you're in the car or whatever? And I'm like, lately, nothing.
Oh,
like,
wow.
I will be in complete silence, just in my thoughts. Like, I'm so busy throughout my day. Like, just like everybody else, you have a 9 to 5, and if you have a passion that you're trying to work on, it's like, you don't stop. I'll sleep when I'm dead. Like, but that drive for me is like, okay, like, let me think about.
That's your alone time.
That's my alone time. That's like so weird.
No,
So weird.
I feel like everyone has a spot. Even sometimes I didn't know what my spot was. So just recently, I told my girlfriend, "Hey, babe, I get all these creative ideas in the shower. I come out of the shower and I'm telling her, babe, I want to do this. I want to do this.
Yeah.
You know, you found your spot, which is your commute to traffic, your commute to work, in
Ain't
traffic
lying.
maybe, but everyone has their spot. Everyone finds their time to get into their mind. You know.
Yeah.
If you don't mind me asking, like, what kind of conversations are you having with yourself? Is it more like
getting real? You know, it's this is really cool for me because it's like I, for once, kind of being a little bit vulnerable, more vulnerable with myself and you guys. I think just whatever I'm trying to better myself in, I don't believe I'm perfect and far from it, you know, and there's definitely things that I wish I could change or can try to change about myself. So I guess more so just like, Val, what can you do today that you didn't do yesterday to get further? And that's just more along the lines of...
Definitely those type of conversations. Have you found it efficient? Like, have you found it, like, productive?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because on my days off, people just want to sleep, you know? Mm-hmm. And I do too. I'm guilty of that, but that's not going to get me anywhere.
Yeah.
So, yeah, no, that's definitely been efficient for me.
Of course.
Trying to...
Definitely. So, I want to backtrack a little bit because you're talking about, you mentioned how people have their 9 to 5 and they also have their passion they're trying to work on, right? Mm-hmm. How do you balance that? Like, is there ever a point where you kind of just want to, like, you know, I quit my 9 to 5, I want to just focus on the music and grind, you know? Like, is there a point where you feel like that? Is there, you know, have you gone to that point?
Yeah, there's been several times, like, I don't know if anybody who knows me, but I work in RVs. Mm-hmm. I'm in an RV industry. I've been in RVs for 4 or 5 years now, and so random from what I love to do, but that's what's paying the bills. That's what's pushing my dream, you know.
Definitely.
So I think that's something that I would also like to put out to the public and anybody else who's like going for your dream. Like it's not gonna happen overnight, you know, and you gotta work. You gotta work to support yourself and to support your dream, and it's all about investing in it. And that's one thing my parents did instill in me was the whole having a plan B, because it'd be so much easier. Mm-hmm. You know, but
of course,
whether it's school, whether it's a trade, whether it's your full time, I think that
whatever your path is, you know,
yeah.
like however you're trying to get there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, because I feel like, you know, anybody who's listening to this or watching it, you know, if you're chasing something, it is possible.
Yeah.
You got to find different ways to do it, you know. I feel like one of the biggest setbacks, you know, I'm generalizing here, but is finances.
Yeah.
I need to get a job so I could get, you know, studio time.
Right.
I need to get a job so I could get a better mic, you know. Mm-hmm. So there might be a time in your life where you're going to have to get that 9 to 5, fund yourself, and then there's going to be a break where like, okay, I've saved enough money, now I'm just really going to go ham on it.
Yeah.
But talk about that. I want to talk about the risk, because I feel a lot of people will, you know, stop themselves. He's taking a risk on the business, moving from business to business, raising prices up, you know. What have you ever felt like, man, I might be putting time into something that might not work out? Is that something that's been in your mind before?
Yeah. Yeah, it does. It crosses my mind. But I try not to let it cloud, you know, my overall passion for it. But definitely, it is a risk. It's a huge risk. But that's all about believing in yourself. Especially in my household, we kind of come across like, as long as you're taking care of what you need to take care of, then, you know, go right at it and invest in you. That's that's the kind of support that I've had.
Definitely.
But yeah, I would just say whenever I come down to those moments, I write about it.
You write about it?
Yeah.
So, on the music side, is a lot of your music inspired by that? Like by things you go through?
Oh yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is that where you find your inspiration?
Yeah.
By writing about it, do you mean you write it down for music, or you have a journal you write in?
I have a journal, and I have my own like songbook, so I kind of just go back and forth between that. And actually, when I was in school, when I had my psychology class, that was like totally digging deep, and notes from lectures like help me write my songs sometimes. So it's like, every artist is inspired
Differently.
Differently from every direction, but
definitely. No, I like that. I like what you said so far, and it's easy to quit at times.
Yeah.
And again, there's the point of our show. We want to, you've gone through things we probably won't go through, or we haven't yet gone through. Different perspectives.
Mm-hmm.
So I appreciate you sharing that, and like you said, the vulnerability. It's hard to be in front of cameras, the mic. Although the mic is your thing, but
yeah.
But I appreciate you being here.
Yeah.
I appreciate you being a guest on the show and sharing your knowledge, and whoever's listening to this might be inspired, like, oh wow, they might listen to this and I'm ready to go do what I need to do. They might have just needed this, this motivation. So
definitely.
Yeah, before we leave, where can we find you?
Mm-hmm.
And what's next for you? I know you said a project, but what's next for you?
So you can find me. I have my Instagram. It's basically just my name, Valeria with 3 R's, Garcia. I have music on iTunes, YouTube, SoundCloud, pretty much all platforms. Right now, I'm focusing more on shows and just kind of venturing out into different areas. And so I've got a few shows coming up.
Awesome.
So I don't know if you...
Yeah.
Yeah, so August 23rd, I will be in San Francisco opening up for Derek King. And then we've got a few more shows coming up in September, November for Eric Bellinger and Kiana Lade. There's going to be some pretty exciting things. Yeah. And I'm... Like we say, it's all about word of mouth and just reciprocating that good energy.
Definitely. Is there something you want to add before we close off?
Before we end, anybody watching this that wants to do music, what advice would you give them?
I would say you really, and I could say this now because I'm catching on to just staying true to yourself, pushing your dream no matter how many no's you're going to get, because there's going to be a lot more no's than you get yeses. And do whatever you do, make sure you set yourself apart. That's going to make you shine.
Well, there you guys have it. It's another successful heist. Our guest Valeria, check her out. We've got some projects going on, and the opening shows coming up. So there you guys have it. Thank you guys for joining. However you're doing it, wherever you're doing it, just keep striving. All right, guys? Peace out.